Welcome to this edition of Best of the Best, where we interview the world's leaders in healthcare, politics, sports, and business while sharing their secrets to success. Now here's your host, Dr. J. Murray Hawkins.
Dr. Fab Mancini is America's #1 healthy living media expert, a world-renowned chiropractor, Hay House's international best-selling author of The Power of Self-Healing, and a host of his popular radio show, Self-Healing with Dr. Fab. He's also the best-selling author of Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul, an internationally acclaimed educator, business leader, speaker, consultant, and president emeritus of Parker University. He has been featured on Dr. Phil, The Doctors, Fox News, CNN, CBS, ABC, NBC, Univision, Telemundo, and others. He has been interviewed in various documentaries and has received honors including Heroes for Humanity, Humanitarian of the Year, CEO of the Year, and induction into the Wellness Revolutionaries Hall of Fame. Dr. Mancini is also a graduate of the prestigious Institute for Educational Management in the Graduate School of Education at Harvard University. And most recently, the President of Mexico named the Library of UNEVE, Mexico's new leading university, after him. I've known Dr. Fab for over 20 years, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So Dr. Fab, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Jeff. It's so great to be with you today. As you know, I'm a big fan of your work, and I'm excited about our conversation today.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. So I want to thank you for being a friend of mine. You've helped me a lot in my career over the years. We have multiple friends over the years, and again, I'm just glad that you're here. And again, all the things you've done at such a young age. I mean, just tell us a little bit about the whole journey from chiropractor to then president of Parker University, which is now it's incredible. I mean, I love that story. So share with people there just real quickly on that.
Well, sometimes I realize that God brings opportunities to you that you don't feel you're prepared to handle. And what I've learned in my life is you can resist it. So I was on the board of Parker University. I'm a graduate of Parker University, and our founder passed away. But the founder kept saying to the board, Dr. Fab should be our next president. But I was only 32 years old. I wasn't thinking about being a president. I had a huge practice that I loved every single day, taking care of patients. And then after resisting it for a year and a half, they finally tricked me into doing an interview so they can pick one of the people that had applied for the position. And after 2 days, they said, you're the only person that can do it. You understand our university better than anyone. And you also understand what are our weaknesses and what are our strengths. Would you be there Monday morning? And I said, yes. And that's when I realized that when you surrender to a calling that is bigger than you think you're capable of, you are moving towards your right path. The challenge is that many times we say no to things that come to us because we don't think we're able to do that or be successful at it, or that all of a sudden this is what is meant for me. But an opportunity never comes to you unless you're meant to be the one to do it. That's one thing that I've learned in my life.
That's awesome. Again, now to this day, are you still the youngest person to ever be a president of a university?
I know it was in those days. I was the youngest president of a university in the United States, 33 years old. I'm still president emeritus, so that will be like president for life. And we took that university from 1 degree, which is our degrees of a doctorate in chiropractic, into now 31 degrees that we have in healthcare. So very exciting. I felt honored to be a part of that process, and I'm so glad that I say yes.
So great. Now, what do you mean when you tell people that we are not a product of our own circumstances?
Well, during this disruption, I call it a universal disruption of the pandemic, a lot of people are really dealing with circumstances that they never prepared for. And, we're dealing with changes all the time. But this was a massive change. Would you agree? Yeah. And a lot of people are becoming victimized, thinking that the pandemic is doing something to them. And what happened to me is that whenever I saw everything changing in my world, some of my businesses were really struggling, other ones were just doing nothing. I said to myself, I'm going to change that question. I'm going to say, what has the pandemic done for me? And that's when I began to realize that the circumstances never define the person. The only thing that does is our response So how do I choose to react to this? So if all of a sudden my income has been dropped by 80%, either I can be victimized and feel sorry for myself and go into a hole and don't want to come out, or I can actually get creative and say, okay, that changed, but now where else can I make an income, earn an income? What else can I do that's different? And that's really what I'm trying to share with people today, is to recognize that their responses, their decisions is what determines their outcome. It's not what's happening in the world. So whether it's a broken relationship, finances, a health issue, understand that those are there only to push you to a higher level of performance or functioning. And when you do that, all of a sudden now you don't become a victim, but you become a victor. And you realize that your success is really based on the choices we make and not in what's happening in our world.
You know, this next topic, we could both talk on this for hours, right? So, but for people watching, real quickly, tell us why health should be a priority in our lives.
Well, to me, after becoming a doctor, I was 21 years old, and I realized that your health impacts every area of our lives. I was very fortunate that I was able to be raised around a lot of wealthy people. And whenever I would interview a wealthy person, millionaire or billionaire, I would realize that the thing that they value the most in their lives was their health. But then I realized that people my age were not even thinking about their health. In fact, I would ask patients, and I've done this for 30 years, what are the 3 things you value the most in your life? And health was less than 10% of that. But then I said, if the billionaires are prioritizing their health and they're saying health is the most important thing to me, why am I not doing that from the beginning? And that's when I realized that we only get one body and we have to take care of this body. And your health is a journey. It's not a destination. The choices we make today in the things we do, like how we eat, how we exercise, our mindfulness, that determines our health tomorrow. And if we can learn to understand that no matter where we are today, we can make better choices today to get to a better tomorrow, that's really the lesson that I've learned in my life. So I'm 55 years old and I'm more healthy today than I was at 20 in every area of my body, my physical health, my emotional health, my spiritual health. And it's because I invest in that every single day with good choices.
And we've seen that over the years ourselves too, right? And we've been doing this for 30 years. And I know, like in the other business I have, which is a diabetes reversal business, I know billionaires, multi-billionaires that actually have died from diabetes complications when they're in their early 60s. So they had all this wealth, and yet that couldn't prevent them from dying from a disease that was totally preventable if they would have taken more care of their health. So I know you've seen that too yourself, and a lot of people as well, where they work and they overwork. They don't have that balance of health and work, and they get to be very successful financially, but now they're spending all their money in hospitals and heart attack, stroke, and all these diseases. It's heartbreaking to see that.
Well, and I'm glad that you mentioned the diabetes, because you have helped some of my friends, and these are people, as you know, that can pretty much do anything they want in life, but they have very little quality of life. Yeah. Diabetes has impacted, it's one of the biggest pandemics that we've seen in the world, or epidemics. It has impacted so many families, and the thing is, you have figured it out a way to reverse it. And I find it dumbfounded that so many people don't realize that they can actually improve their state of diabetic as a patient just by simply following some of the suggestions you've discovered over 20 years of research in this world and getting the only patent that we have ever seen in the reversal of diabetes.
Yeah. Well, let's shift gears for a second now. So for the people that are watching that want to have more success in their either personal life or their business life, what would you say is the formula for success?
You know, that's a very good question, because I tell you, I've been a good student of success for over 35 years. And it wasn't until one of my mentors, Dr. James W. Parker, taught me that most people live their lives building their success pathway by thinking that they have to have something in order to do something so they can be someone. Mm-hmm. And he very carefully, he would teach us that is totally the opposite of the formula for success. That the true successful people realize that it doesn't matter where they are in life, that what they do is that they identify who they want to be before anything else. I want to be more successful in my marriage, so I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better business person in my industry. I want to be a better community leader. I want to be a more philanthropic person. Whatever that being is, then he says, now you begin to recognize what are the behaviors that that person will be doing if they were already there. So what I do is I interview people that are living that, and I try to identify what are the top behaviors and mindsets that people are doing, and that is your doing. And then once you begin to do that, all of a sudden the law of attraction says you create a feeling that attracts the having. So now all of a sudden you have the success you want. You have the money you're seeking. You have the peace of mind. You have the fulfillment. You have the power. You have the fame, whatever you're seeking. So the main thing is to understand that it all begins with your being. Then you start doing what the people that are actually being that, even though you may not be at the time, like some people call it, fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
What it really means is act like you already have it, like you've already arrived. And what that does is that it puts you into a different pattern of behavior and mindset that allows you then to have the things you want to have. And that to me changed my world when I was 22 years old and I first heard that for the first time in my life.
Well, one of our, I think one of our mentors, kind of a shared mentor, was Dr. Jim Sigafus. And when I was coached by him, this is back when I just first started my career back in like 1994, and was kind of struggling, learning how the ropes. I was still kind of green, but I wanted to get to that point where I was serving 100 patient visits a day. At the time, I was seeing about 25 visits a day. And he told me what you just said. He said, kind of fake it till you make it. He said, imagine, walk around the office and actually do pretend care, pretend adjustments on people as if you are seeing 100 people a day. He said, so again, it became this philosophy in our family now where it's like, I'm seeing 100. I was only seeing 25. He said, I'm seeing 100. So I kept going, and literally, guess what? Within 6 months, I was seeing over 100 visits a day. And so to this day, we're talking like 26 years later now, Dr. Fab, my wife and I still have that where we're trying to visualize or something like, I'm seeing 100. So that's kind of one of those funny things. So let's kind of dovetail on that, because we heard about, like some of the stuff with The Secret where if you think about it, and visualize it, and that kind of got misinterpreted, right? Where like, don't take action, because you want to visualize and goal set and all of that and basically fake it till you make it, but you also got to take massive action once you set the goals. So what are your three W's for goal settings? I know that's a huge thing as far as being successful.
I have been studying goals for many years, and as you know, there have been many studies that have shown that when people write their goals down, they have 80% more of a chance to actually accomplish them. Mm-hmm. And when people write their goal down every single day, they have even a higher percentage. Yeah. So what I've learned by studying so many people that have taught goal setting, some of the greats out there, I realized that the first W, it is what is it that you want, the what.
Right.
You have to be very clear about what you want to create, attract, earn, whatever it is your goal is. Most people don't take the time to actually clarify that so good. I mean, they'll spend hours planning a vacation.
Yeah.
They'll spend hours, doing things that are not going to impact them that much, but they won't sit down and sketch out exactly and ask themselves the right questions. What would I do if I didn't have any fears? Yeah. Things like that will push you to clarify your what. And whatever that is, you're thinking small enough. That's one of the things I learned from another one of my mentors, Mark Victor Hansen. He says, most people never think big enough. So whatever my goal is, do times 10, because that's your potential. Yeah. So the what is very important. That's where it all begins. Then we learned that you have to have the W. The second W is the when. If you don't have a finite end game, if you don't know exactly by when do you want to accomplish that, what happens is that all of a sudden there is no set time in your goal.
Yeah.
So think of the what as your GPS address You put the address in your GPS system. It's going to take you there. But if you don't have a when, you could be driving for a long period of time without ever arriving. So what we notice is that when we are very clear that I'm going to accomplish this goal by March 30th at 12 midnight on 2021, that's a goal that is very finite. So the when is very critical. And then as I started studying more, I realized that there was another W that really was even more important than the what, and that is the why. The why. And what I've learned is that most of us need to have a reason that's bigger than ourselves as our why. I often tell people that, you and I are both in the health field, and so many people know that if they could just change their behavior a little bit, they could be healthier, but they don't do it for themselves. But then all of a sudden they realize that, now they're dealing with a condition that they may not be around to walk their daughter down the aisle. That becomes a big why. Or that perhaps they're not going to be able to enjoy their retirement coming up and play golf and travel like they thought because they're not healthy. That becomes a big why. So the next why, the next W being why, is spending enough time recognizing what is the reason you want to do this? What will be the payoff? What will be the benefit? And as you remind yourself every single day of the benefit, it will make the journey a little bit easier and you're less likely to quit. Because the biggest challenge of why people don't accomplish their goals is that they start it, but they don't finish it. They don't continue the process and they go into something else. And now they're changing the goal again, and then again, and then again. And then all of a sudden they never arrive to the destination they wanted. So the what, the when, and the why, and you'll be able to accomplish any goal that way.
No, it's incredible. I love that when part, because having that urgency, that deadline with goals, because I write goals down every day as well. Again, having that deadline where, look, it's going to happen by then, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for that goal to be achieved. If you look back when we all went through school, we went through a lot of school, we had deadlines, right? There was a test, or there was a report, or something had to be done by Wednesday, April 2nd or something. And that's it. It had to be done. And so guess what? Sometimes you spend the all-nighters until you got it done. You did whatever it took to get that project done because there was that deadline. The teacher didn't say, okay, we'll just get it done sometime this year. It's like, no, this has to be done by this date, or this is when this board's coming up. I just love that. It's really incredible. One other thing, I know you've heard this study too. I think Harvard did the study where they actually took 100 people that graduated Harvard, and they looked at them 20 years later, and they went and analyzed those 100 people and asked how many of those 100 actually wrote down goals every day, and only 3% had goals written down, and the income of those 3% was larger than the other 97 people combined. I thought that was a really incredible story on that. So I know you've heard that study too. Next thing is, with all this stuff going on with the pandemic and the craziness, I know there's a lot of people right now in survival mode, right? Like, what do I do with my business? Again, their business crashed last year, didn't pivot, didn't know what to do, didn't have proper coaching like with you to help them. So how do people get out of that survival mode that they're still in, a lot of people right now?
Well, the survival mode, the challenge with it is that it's very limited. And one of the things that I realized is survival means more probability. So when you think about survival, really, that's the kind of individual that wakes up every day thinking about their needs. I have to make this happen. I have to earn so much. I got to do this for my wife. I got to do this for my husband. My children need this. It's always about your needs. When you wake up like that and you end up doing those things, by the end of the day, you're exhausted. Most of them have never taken time for themselves. So that's what we call survival. But then there was another S that I was introduced to early on in my career that was called service. And the individual that wakes up with a service attitude every day is the one that's thinking about the needs of others. It's about trying to support, what would my wife benefit from me today? What can I do today to make my children realize how much I love them? What can my customer be able to benefit from if I do something different today? What can my employees be able to benefit from? So you're thinking about the needs of others, your employees, your family, your community. And when you do that, all of a sudden it puts you into a serving heart. And we've heard that word before, but what happens is when you're thinking about the needs of others, it puts you into a more creative mode. It makes you more positive. It changes the chemistry in your body, which now you're producing hormones like oxytocin and others that make you very happy, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I just had such a great day. So what I really would recommend is to start going from survival to service by simply thinking about the needs of those you serve rather than your own needs, and realize that one thing I learned, that when you live in service every day, you will never live in survival. It will never be about living paycheck to paycheck. It will never be about trying to manage as much as I can today and just get through another day. That's no way of living.
Yeah.
And service is where is abundance. It's when you're constantly contributing, because significance comes from contribution. It doesn't come from doing things and being busy. It comes from impacting the lives of others in a positive way. And that's what service does very well.
And again, the ironic thing about that, as we both know, is the more people you serve with that servant heart, then the more income follows. And without having the income be the primary reason of doing it, is you're serving people, and because of that, the reciprocity, they're gonna contribute back to you. And so I just love that. It's such a beautiful circle with that. So now I know you've got a really cool, incredible, like world-class mentoring program for business owners, people that just want to become their better selves, live up to their potential. Because I think so many of us, me included, again, I'm getting better every day, you are, but the potential that the individual has is so massive. But having that coach, having that mentor, we both had incredible mentors in our lives, and I know that saved me decades of wasted time and millions of dollars in revenue I would have spent trying to figure it out on my own. So you have this great mentorship program. I'm a part of it. I know tons of people who are. So how can people who want to get more of Dr. Fab and maybe actually become one of your mentees, tell us more about that and how they can get in touch with you?
Well, you mentioned something very important, is that successful people typically have had mentors that accelerate your growth, that accelerate your success. My mentor, I worked with him for 2.5 years, earning nothing, $1,000 a month, no benefits, working 16-hour days, 7 days a week. But he accelerated over 30 to 40 years of my success by that investment of time and energy and effort that I put into it. So a mentor is somebody that will help you deal with the landmines, that will help you prevent some of the decisions that can really ruin a business or ruin a life. And I wasn't really wanting to mentor. And, I retired twice in my life. And I learned that unless I was sharing what I learned, I wasn't growing as a person. And whenever that happened, I went and put it out there, and many people come to me and say, hey, Fab, would you help me do this? Or would you mentor me with this? And I took 5 people, and then I took another 10, and then I grew it even more than that. And it was very exclusive because my time is very limited. But then during the pandemic, I did something that was very interesting. I took over 30 years of content, and I created a 3 levels of membership. A very brief virtual membership where they can benefit from all of my content, and it's only $47 a month, and it's month to month. Then I have my $1,500 a month that I do one-on-one mentoring, whether it's personal or professional, and then they get to support themselves with each other. And then I have another one that is $7,500 a month, and that is more of an inner circle. It's an individual that truly wants to expand and influence and impact at a high level, where I go a lot deeper with them and their company and whatever it is that I need to do to help them get to where they want to get to. So simply, you just go to drfabmancini.com, drfabmancini.com, and there you will find all the information. And actually, I created videos that explain all the benefits so people can really find what is a good fit for them. Because what I've learned in my life is sometimes we're in different stages in our life. And sometimes we just need a brief beginning, somewhere to start. I just opened my business. I don't have a lot of money, but I do want to benefit from all this content. And then somebody else is like, hey, I'm in the middle of a road, but I hit a snag. I really want something to just get me over the hump. And then you got others that are like, hey, I want to grow big. I have a great thing here. I just don't know how to massively scale it. I need bigger support than that. And that's what I did. And it's been extremely successful because I believe right now there's never been a more important time to have a mentor in one's life. And if you have one, treasure them, be grateful for it. But if you don't, at least this will be one option that you can do, and try to engage yourself into a process that may be a little bit different than what you've been doing so far.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. So as we're wrapping up here, what was like one thing you want to leave people with that are watching and listening to this right now? How do you want to just leave it, and one more little nugget to give them?
For me is sometimes we have to allow what others see in us to be a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. Most of us have greater potential than what we're living, because most of us live our lives on the filters of our reality. So when somebody sees in you something bigger, you have to tap yourself into that and allow it to grow inside of you like a seed that is planted, and all of a sudden that seed is going to grow, because I want you to know you have greater potential than what you're living. And if you believe in yourself, and if you allow yourself to understand that you were born for greatness, that you were born to do more, to contribute more, to give more, to be able to be more, then now all of a sudden you're putting yourself in a path of growth rather than the opposite, which is where more people live, which is a path of complacency, meaning they're not moving. They go year by year saying they want something different, but their lives never change. And that's the majority of the people, unfortunately. So believe in yourself and understand that your potential is much greater than the one you're currently living.
Incredible. Thank you, Fab. So again, I wanted to say again, I want to appreciate you for all the help you've given me over my career. I want to thank you for being my friend. I'm blessed to call you my friend. And just thanks for being a guest on our show. So, okay, for those of you that are watching right now, I just want to encourage you. You need to get a mentor in your life, whether it's Dr. Fab or somebody else. Of course, I highly recommend Dr. Fab. He's got a very, very inexpensive, for what you get at the $47 a month fee. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of content there. Everybody that I know that's successful has a coach in their life, including me. Look at Michael Jordan, look at Wayne Gretzky, look at any of the top, people that are in athletics. They all have coaches. All the big business people I know, they all have mentors and coaches. So you need to get somebody in your life. So please go to drfabmancini.com. The website will be across the bottom of the screen, and check it out. I cannot highly recommend it more highly than what he has to offer for you. So thanks for watching this episode of Best of the Best, and I'll see you in the next time. Bye.